What happens when you die? Are you trapped experiencing your entire life or just a specific memory?
And if you think about a nightmare, and then that nightmare becomes real, seeing things that are there but they aren't there, and like tapping into another reality.
Your brain stuck in this recurring nightmare.
A lot of ideas, strangely, come from nightmares. I used to have night terrors when I was a younger person, so I sort of have invested a lot in the dreams. I wake up, and if there's something weird, like lingering in the corners, I kind of try and write it down.
I've always loved horror movies. You know, I especially love movies like The Shining and Rosemary's Baby and kind of the classic horror films. And I just thought that this was a script that had the potential for great performances, a cool concept, and something a little different from what you see in your average horror movie.
Something about the movie has to feel different. I think the minute that you start to put a framework on the creative material in a movie or in a television show, they start to get boring and bland.
We just loved the concept. It was kind of this Flatliners meets Frankenstein idea.
I love the story of Frankenstein. I think it's such a great story of bringing somebody back to life, but creating this monster that is uncontrollable, and just the regret and the guilt and the suffering that this thing that you created, that you did, is something that always fascinated me.
I was skeptical when I got the script, but I really liked it. I thought it was smart, and I thought it was a reality-based version of how this could happen. There are scientific teams that are doing this very kind of research right now.
5 kilovolts, pulse in 3, 2, 1.
I have a very good friend who is a neuroscientist. He did grad student work at NYU, and he literally had monkeys and wires into their brains, and he helped me a lot. I mean, he read the script and went over it with me. And so much of what's going on the screen is technical talk back and forth. The tension is building, and they're using lingo that really a lay person doesn't really fully understand what that means. But to put something real in there, is important. That's the detail that brings this stuff to life.
Before you set the thing in?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just what do you want me to do?
It's always about building this kind of tension. And I think something we were always trying to do is kind of try to ground the film, but in reality, we had medical experts come on set and kind of work with the actors.
CPR and adrenaline shots and, using the defibrillation paddles and all these things. And we wanted it to look as real as possible.
We're shooting in Canoga Park. It's a very hot stage.
When you're watching this film, you'll see the closeness, the claustrophobia that can set in.
It's very intimate, and so it's a lot like the movie. I mean, we're all down in this basement lab that's very cramped and close quarters, and you get to really know each other and the way that the person works.
I want to know what happened in Nico now!
The actors are the vehicle through which the audience places themselves within the story. As a director, casting is one of the most important things.
Did I just die?
Something that was unique about the casting in this movie was that by starting with Mark Duplass, who has such a strong comedy background, it allowed there to be a certain ease on set.
Hi, how's it going?
Can I help you?
Good to see you. In order to work really well on screen, I think it's nice to have some off-screen chemistry. We're all in one room together, kind of talking about the scenes before we shoot them and afterwards.
Your motivation for that line is to be as quiet and casual as a human has ever been.
We all help each other out and send each other articles we read or music that would help us.
It's great because it really gives us a close insight into each other, becoming friends.
That would be a better ending. I play Zoe McConnell, who's a doctor who's one of the head researchers on the team. She developed the serum that they use to bring the dogs and people back to life.
Olivia Wilde is a truly unique talent. She is absolutely committed to her role, and she will go any place that she needs to tell the story.
I went somewhere.
That was a dream.
No, it was hell.
Olivia is really good at jumping right into a scene and really helping and how did you feel about that? Let's do this again.
She's a very good Zoe. I mean, she's meticulous and to the point in her character.
I was sort of born to play Zoe because I've already read so many nerdy neurology books that I just had a wealth of research to kind of hand over to anybody who wanted it.
You're like Kelly Ripa.
She's someone that I've wanted to work with for a long time, and she has such a great combination of sweetness and vulnerability.
I love you.
I love you too.
She's got these eyes. She can just stare you down, just do these crazy things.
Making a character who ultimately murders all her friends likable is pretty hard to pull off. She does.
Do you still love me?
Yes, of course I do.
One of the fun things about Olivia's performance is that even when she's not evil, there's something just a tiny bit off about her. And she really got the joy in being evil.
Daddy!
For me, it's really fun because I get to play Zoe in a few different mind states, and it feels like getting to play a couple different characters, which is great.
I mean, there's one moment in the movie that always gives me chills. Be watching Olivia Wilde as she's laying on the floor and she's just died and she was electrocuted.
3, 2, 1.
It was a brutal scene to film because she had to be there in a very exposed state and have people screaming in her face and people hammering on her chest.
Movie CPR is a very tricky thing because you want to bring the intensity of someone who is about to lose someone they love, and so naturally you would just be pounding the hell out of that person's chests in your compressions. But it's also a movie, and you don't want to break anybody's ribs. So you have to find that delicate balance. For us, a lot of that is doing reserved versions when I'm with Olivia, who's playing Zoe, and then at the right moments bringing in a dummy and just pounding the living shit out of it from there.
Mark's really funny and can really like loosen up the vibe even when like there are scenes that are pretty intense.
He's sort of like the smart big brother you want to kind of impress, and he's got a sort of an air of detached intelligence. I mean, I think that's what kind of makes him funny, is that when he breaks out of that, it's amusing.
The group of researchers in this film is almost kind of like the scientific version of the Avengers. They're each good at their own one area.
It's weird. His cataracts are gone.
What the hell is going on here?
I play Frank, who's a scientist, and he doesn't believe in God. He experiences something in this film which is beyond science, and he doesn't quite know how to handle it.
It was such a different type of film for him. He usually is always in really funny comedies, but to see him go to that place where he's, you know, laying over his loved one crying, he just gave a fantastic performance.
Turn this way and yell to her and be here, or do you want me to be up in front told?
He's a director himself and brings an incredible amount of experience and kind of acts as a leader amongst the group, not only in the film, but also amongst the actors themselves.
I don't want anybody talking about anything until we know exactly what we have here. Understood?
Nico, my character, is really good with computers. He can hack into things and stuff, but is helping them build the right computer to help with the serum.
Okay, so most of this stuff is basically run by me, and I do everything.
Clay, I thought he was really fun to play because he's kind of wacky and crazy, but is still a very smart guy. Nico's kind of like my best buddy. I don't have a lot of close friends who I can talk to about science.
Clay's sort of the misfit, pot-smoking, wise guy.
Awesome. Nico's more of the shy type, so I'm trying to kind of take him under my wing and get him laid, smoke pot and party and stuff like that. So there's kind of that dynamic as well.
Documentary girl, man, she's so hot.
Her name's Ava.
I don't care what her name is.
A lot of directors probably would get the script and like, yeah, horror film. Boom, boom. David's not approaching it that way.
I love the environment of being kind of trapped in this lab and kind of playing with the idea of what happens when you die and what would happen if you came back to life and what could you potentially bring back with you or how would you be different.
Holy shit.
Zoe suffers from nightmares. She went through a traumatic experience when she was a child, and she's driven crazy by these visions from her dream. It involves people being trapped in a burning building and burned figures trying to get at her, and it's really terrifying, and she struggles with it.
When he brings his fiancée back from the dead, he's faced with the reality that there are things in her nightmares and in her past that are re-entering the real world from the spirit world.
She's developing telekinetic powers. I mean, essentially crazy psychic shit.
Is your big theory crazy psychic shit?
There's a reason why evolution happens really slowly.
Her brain is just completely out of control and very dangerous.
What is hell? You know, what is the version of hell? Is hell something that you make yourself? And that's something that you could be trapped in. What we're doing is we're taking one of our characters and we're placing her in her own personal hell, where it's the worst moment of her life just on repeat over and over and over again, and then they rip her out of that. I mean, I don't think that I would be in a very stable mental state.
Once the serum brings her back to life and she is tripping on the serum, she can't figure out what's real, what's not real, and she actually starts to manifest that physically. She is becoming this burned figure from her dreams.
And you can't tell the difference. I mean, you're bringing the nightmare into reality and reality into the nightmare, and it's a big old mess, and people get hurt. It's very dangerous.
I think scientists in general, it's like a lost art in movie making, a lost element. You know, we used to really honor scientists in science fiction movies and horror movies, and you know, I think that's something we've lost. And I liked the idea of working with a group of young people, grad students, and like they're trapped in the basement with this monster.
Zoe, what did you do? What are you talking about? I've been in here with you the entire time.
This movie probably is more terrifying because the possibility is slightly more probable than it ever was before. The idea that this happening and the realism of this woman changing.
I think the thing that is most terrifying about a movie like this is that these kinds of experiments are being conducted right now in the scientific community. People are trying to figure out ways to extend the life of brain functions so that we can take longer and longer and longer to resuscitate people and bring them back.
It's a real thing. I like that this film and its concept is based in reality.
The guy who they did CPR on for 2.5 hours pronounced dead, and then he came back, but his brain functions weren't right.
I thought you were my friend. I am your friend, but you're not being yourself right now. We still don't understand what's happening to you.
It's designed really well. It's really cool. It looks really dark and really scary. Like anything can happen.
You know, the goal is for the effects to be invisible. So I don't want the audience to be able to tell what's practical and what's CG. Usually it's just a little bit of both, because it's the practical effects that really feel tangible and real, and it's something that the actors on the stage can really react to viscerally.
3, 2, 1, go!
I have a stunt background here, so I know I'll be able to have a lot of fun sort of working it all out and making sure we don't kill each other.
Just one more time. All right, we'll go again.
We have some incredible sequences with fire that uses a lot of practical special effects, so we try to do that wherever possible.
I'm a Alfred Hitchcock fan all the way, and the idea of seeing less is more frightening than ever seeing everything planted on screen for you.
Some of our transitions between the real world and Zoe's nightmares are practical effects where we'll build one section of a set connected to another section. And so when you pan from one part of the set to the other, we completely change the space in a very seamless way that you couldn't really do with a computer.
It's not smoke and mirrors by any stretch of the imagination, but it's in your mind, it's scarier than what you're seeing in front of you. And I think that's what we're trying to play with a little bit.
The makeup effects were especially exciting. We had to design custom makeup appliances for her general kind of progression or descent into hell as the movie goes on. She would spend hours and hours having these things, you know, kind of artfully applied and painted on, and she was just incredibly patient because she knew that it would look beautiful in the film. And the whole feeling within the laboratory, everything is progressively getting darker and scarier and decaying. So it's always a progression and trying to make it scarier and scarier and darker and darker and darker. So that by the end of the film, you know, you're just like praying that something good is finally gonna happen.
To me, the horror and thriller genre are always going to be around. There's an adrenaline rush. There's a feeling of being on edge and gripping your seat that is just inherently exciting. Our job is to give the audience one that they haven't seen before and to try to deliver it in a new and interesting way.
Zoe, please!